What's up guys, Nathan here, and today I want to talk about the 5 best big money poker hands. Do not fold these hands because they can make you a lot of profit at the poker table. So these are the 5 best hands that I often want to get in there versus especially weaker sort of recreational players or tighter players who have difficulty folding over pairs like pocket aces, pocket kings. In fact, many of the hands on this list are absolute pocket aces killers. And that is also an excellent way to put weaker players on tilt so they start making even more mistakes against you in the future and handing over more of their money to you. So without further ado, let's jump into it, counting down from 5 to 1. These are the 5 best big money poker hands that you must not fold. All right, so starting in at number 5 is one of my personal all-time favorite hands, which is 10-9 suited. Now 10-9 suited has excellent implied odds. Doesn't matter if it's hearts, clubs, spades, whatever. It has 23% equity versus pocket aces pre-flop, which means we're gonna crack pocket aces almost 1 out of 4 times. And like I said off the top, remember, a lot of players these days, I've made a lot of videos on this on the channel, they get their aces cracked once or twice and they start to lose it. They start to go on tilt, they start to play, start to get frustrated, they start making all sorts of mistakes. And often those chips wind up right in my stack in the future. So with a lot of the hands on this list, we're actually prepping them for the future to try to put them on tilt. Now, when I say implied odds, by the way, what I'm talking about is a situation where we were against a hand precisely like pocket aces or pocket kings. And with a speculative hand like this, we have excellent implied odds because we hit a straight, a flush, 2 pair, trips, something like that. We are very likely to get all of their money because they have a very, very strong hand. And of course, for most of you guys, you probably play small or mid stakes. You're often going to find most of your competition at these stakes, they're not very good at folding a big overpair. So a hand like this can be money against them. Like I said, it can make multiple straights and flushes. This hand is also very, very well disguised. For example, the flop comes down with a 9 of clubs, 9 of spades, and 4 of diamonds. Nobody is going to put you on a 9. This is one of these boards where a lot of people will always think, oh, he doesn't have it, she doesn't have it. And you can get into one of these raise, raise, re-raise wars because they won't believe you. But actually, no, we got the 9 in our back pocket. Let's move on to number 4. So coming in at number 4 is going to be pocket 7s. Now this is one of these middle pocket pairs, and really pocket 7s honestly is good versus everything, but it still has, 20% equity versus pocket aces, meaning we're going to crack them 1 out of 5 times. It's going to hit a set on the flop 12% of the time. For an example, flop comes down with a 4 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, queen of clubs. This is a board where if you hit this board and they've got a hand like pocket aces or pocket kings, you're going to have something like a 95% chance to win the pot. You're almost a lock. They've only got 2 remaining cards in the deck to save their life. And honestly, guys, this is one of the best ways to win big in poker. I talk about this specifically in my first book, Crushing the Micro Stakes, that I've made an absolute fortune over the years, especially in small stakes games, simply by set mining with hands like this. Because like we talked about already, one of the key weaknesses of smaller stakes and mid stakes players typically is they're not very good at folding, especially when they have a big pocket pair or they hit top pair, for example. They got ace queen on this board, for example. They're not very good at folding, and so if you can hit your set, it's not going to happen all that often, that needs to be pointed out, but when it does happen, it's often money. And finally, it should be pointed out that pocket 7s is by no means a throwaway hand. In fact, versus a hand like ace king, you are actually 55% to win the pot pre-flop. A lot of people think that, a pocket pair versus a hand like ace king is a pure coin flip. That is actually not true. The pocket pair almost always has an equity edge, in this case a 5% equity edge, with ace king only having 45% equity. It's a small amount, but remember, we play poker over the course of thousands of hands, millions of hands in some cases over the course of months and years. And so these small edges absolutely do add up over the long run. And so this is an absolutely excellent hand versus versus nearly anything that they can have. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is one of my all-time favorite hands, guys. Ace 3 suited. I call this hand the Pocket Kings Killer because it has precisely 33% equity versus Pocket Kings pre-flop. This is the classic hand to nail your ace on the flop versus the other guy or girl who's got the Pocket Kings or the Pocket Queens. And they're going to be on tilt, guys. Believe me, they're going to be counting their bad luck. Oh my God, there's always an ace on the flop. By the way, I made a video a couple weeks ago talking about how to play if you've got the Pocket Kings and how to handle ace high flops. So make sure you check that out. But guys, this is a great way to put people on tilt. And like I said, you can literally turn them into your money printer in future hands, your personal ATM, because once you get them on tilt, they're going to start playing poorly and literally just giving away their money against you. So a lot of times with a hand like this, I love to get in there pre-flop, mix it up, because I know that I'm also setting myself up in the future versus this player if I can hit my 1 in 3 shot here and nail the flop against them. Let's talk about what else Ace 3 suited can do. It can make the nut flush. That is always a good thing, because this means you can potentially get in a situation where you have somebody flush over flushed. For example, if somebody had 5-6 of clubs and the flop by the river, there was 3 clubs on the board, you would have an unbeatable hand against them and they would have an incredible second best hand, and you're literally very likely to win their entire stack. This hand, lastly, can also make the wheel straight, which is another great way to crack over pairs. It's also very well disguised. For example, flop comes down with a 5 of diamonds, 4 of spades, and 2 of hearts. If you've got ace 3, you're going to be in real good shape versus a lot of strong over pairs, and you're likely to win a lot of money. Let's move on to number 2. All right, so my runner-up for best big money poker hand is another personal favorite, which is 7-6 suited. Now, 7-6 suited also has excellent implied odds. It's another pocket aces killer. It's got 23% versus aces pre-flop. This hand can make multiple straights and flushes. It also has all sorts of pair plus draw possibilities. And the great thing is, once again, just like 10-9 that we talked about before, this hand is very well disguised. They often do not put you on cards like 7-6. So for example, the flop comes down with a 6 of diamonds, 6 of spades, and 2 of hearts. If somebody's got an overpair, or even if they've got ace king or something, they're very unlikely to believe that you hit that board, that you actually have a 6, and therefore nobody's ever going to put you on it. And you can often win a big pot by simply getting in there, betting and raising, making the most obvious play. And like I always say, let them overthink the situation, let them think you're bluffing, and you just get all that money in there and you flip over the 6 and show them the bad news. All right, so let's move on to the final best big money poker hand, and that is going to be pocket twos, pocket deuces. Guys, this hand is the ultimate over pair killer. It's actually one of my personal favorite hands that I've won a lot of money with this hand over the years. It has, for example, 19% equity all-in pre-flop versus pocket jacks. But the great thing about baby pocket pairs like this is they are absolutely excellent. They're perfect versus players who cannot fold a top pair or an overpair type hand. And the reason why is because if you hit your 2 on the flop, you have a nearly unbeatable hand versus some sort of overpair like pocket jacks, for example. And the other beautiful thing about pocket twos, it's incredibly easy to play. If you don't hit your 2 on the flop and they make some sort of big bet, you just get out of there. You know that you probably do not have the best hand. Even, the board is going to be all over cards, and it's just a real easy throwaway. You don't need to spend any more money. You just get out of the way and move on. So pocket twos, especially if you're playing in smaller stakes games versus a table full of tight players versus, those risk-averse kind of rocks that are just sitting around waiting for the nuts. You can simply often call pre-flop with this hand, never raise, just call. Go ahead and nail your 2 on the flop and turn on that money printer, because they're not going to be folding their pocket aces, their pocket kings, their pocket queens, their ace king if they hit an ace or a king on the flop. you understand what I'm talking about. So guys, these are the top 5 best big money poker hands that I would suggest you do not fold before the flop. These are great hands to see a flop. You can potentially win a big pot. Remember, we're playing no limit hold'em. The beautiful thing is you can shove all that money in at any time, and that is why these hands have incredible implied odds. And of course, the other thing is these hands are excellent to put somebody on tilt. Guys, we always need to remember that poker is mental warfare, okay? If you can get somebody off their game and getting frustrated with you in particular, this can throw them off their entire game. It doesn't matter if they've studied all sorts of advanced strategy. When somebody is frustrated, the human brain shuts off and it starts playing based on emotion. It doesn't think in terms of reason and rationality and, you know, what they've studied and what they know. Game plan gets thrown out the window, and you become the big beneficiary because of that. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what are your 5 favorite big money poker hands that you've won a lot of money with over the years? They're not sort of the, you know, regular pocket aces, pocket kings. What kind of hands do you personally enjoy to play? And also, if you want to see more poker strategy videos like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also shove all in on that like button below if you found this one helpful. Lastly, I'll leave a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below, and that'll give you my entire strategy to start smashing the small and mid-stakes poker games. And finally, I will leave another video that I made just last week right here that I think will help you guys out some more. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Do not fold these 5 hands pre-flop. This has been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.